Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day regardless of how awesome and phenomenal the market has been with this chop salad, as I like to call it. SUI recovering quite nicely here. It did pivot and bounce off this lower support range of $2.90 to $3, which is fantastic. We'd love to see that. Keep in mind that is our last line of defense. Outside of this here, folks, there is no support at all. A potential free fall to this 235 range. So just keep that in mind. Definitely not telling you we're going to see that just yet, but there's nothing here telling us we're not going to either, because the truth is we have a lot of bearish type of patterns here that are not appropriate to try to trade against. Okay. Again, just to double check here, kind of clarify, this is a bearish engulfing candle. Sorry, I misspoke. This is a bearish rectangle. Typically they break to the downside. Keep in mind also this is completely depending on Bitcoin dumping, right? If Bitcoin stays where it's at and goes higher, we're going to probably continue further up, right? So you just got to kind of recognize that this is not like a doom and gloom situation. This coin's performing better than most, but is also still susceptible to that potential correction. So just be mindful of that. Set those limit orders down below for your spot bag to consider adding to your position in that low to mid $2 range. If that happens, it'd be great. The reason why that's potentially an incentive for the whales is just because there's a lot of liquidation to the downside, okay? So you can kind of see that in the macro perspective. Keep in mind there's just as much to the upside too. So this coin has a lot of liquidation in both directions. People having, these are generally high leverage longs and shorts, or actually probably more so medium, because when you look at these here, they should be in profit by now. You'd expect them to close their positions, but not everyone does that. Also bear in mind too, these are stop losses as well. It doesn't necessarily mean these are just only places where people get destroyed. This is where people are putting their stops as well, which is good. But no matter how you look at it, there's a lot of liquidation closer to the downside, so we got to presume that may be more likely than the price action that's way further away, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, so again, not a guarantee, but just something to be mindful of. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly double check our liquidation delta. We can recognize that it is tapering off here. Most coins are doing this as the price goes up, right? So again, a lot of late shorts that are shorting the bottom here, as I mentioned, not a good idea. If you're going to consider shorting this coin, wait for it to break its support and retest bearishly that previous resistance, previous support turned resistance. That's how it's supposed to work. For right now, the fact that we didn't break below that level is a good sign. We held that level, and now a lot of late shorts are holding and getting slowly liquidated, okay? So not a good call to short this coin in general. That's just my personal opinion, even though you could have found a ton of success here recently. It's just a high risk asset for shorting, and I don't really think it's practical. Now, as far as longs are concerned, I did recommend not buying that dip as far as leverage is concerned. I feel fine with recommending that because that would have been a high risk trade, right? So the general consensus here is that until we break our descending trend line, there's no reason to take a long position with confidence. But the funny thing is, the market lately, every time the price action does break a descending trend and gives us these bullish confirming factors, the price goes straight down after that. It's just uncanny. It's done it 5 out of 5 times in the last 2 weeks for Bitcoin alone, and a lot of altcoins are following suit because they're just following Bitcoin like a little lost puppy, right? So that's just kind of where we're at there. The key takeaway here from a overall, open interest standpoint, there's a lot of resistance above us. 340 and 360 are those two outliers there, but between 340 and 360 is a heavy amount of resistance because that's where there's a lot of exit liquidity potentially to be happening. Okay, so just know that that is a very real thing if and when we get back there. Again, I'm still leaning more towards the price action pulling back. Overall, I think 360 is a very egregious consideration for a take profit target if you're considering a long position right now. So just be mindful of that. So I don't recommend that. We got just a lot of resistance above us. At this current point though, we can see our local point of control is right there at about 315. That was a previous support level for us. We can presume that may be a new resistance. I don't necessarily think that's the case just yet, still too early to tell, but a lot of it hinges on Bitcoin. And we look at SUI and compare it with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been in like a tight range between 95 and 98,000, still has yet to close above or below in the last, 12 trading days. It's a complete chop salad. SUI is responding fairly well. It'll pump very hard when Bitcoin recovers, but it dumps really hard too when Bitcoin pulls back. So again, most coins are going to be having this kind of problem right now, okay? So that's kind of where we're at there. The daily time frame, we recognize that we're below all moving averages, still bearish, under 50 on the RSI, bouncing kind of sort of off of that SMA there on the RSI. Stochastic swinging up, MACD's trying to converge or still sort of converging. So this isn't like totally doom and gloom here. This is actually decent considering, but it's not great no matter how you look at it. We're still mostly in the doghouse as far as, bearish divergence. There's a lot of that right now. Moving forward here, looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can recognize that we are underneath the important moving average of 50. That's generally a trend setter. Again, we got that same trend on the daily time frame. So until we break above this trend line, I don't really feel confident in recommending a long position. But the key takeaway here is that, once more, every time we've gotten good confirming factors, the price is going to go up for these altcoins. Bitcoin pulls back and it drops down. It's like every altcoin is on a razor's edge right now, and they overreact to Bitcoin pullbacks. And SUI being SUI will respond well to an increase, but for the most part, a lot of coins are just bleeding out. And this coin's going sideways, so it is positive, but I still don't love it. No matter how you look at it, this is just choppy and terrible price action. The key takeaway here, though, is that at this range here, we're right here at 50 on the RSI. We're getting close to our resistance range, and I think if Bitcoin can break 97,000, we'll probably see SUI take off. But between now and then, you just got to recognize that the current response here, that the current bounce off of that 290 to 320 range, that's just a natural knee-jerk reaction. It's that standard recovery that most coins are doing. Granted, SUI is a little stronger today than most, which is common. But this is just normal commonplace for any type of recovery now that Bitcoin's found its tentative bottom, okay? So please recognize that. The thing I want you to understand, though, is that we're seeing parallel lows here for SUI, and Bitcoin's establishing lower lows. So there is definitely some benefit, and there's definitely some good qualities here, but not a great amount of convergence here. However, of course, MACD is converging, stochastic swinging up, kind of topping out. There's a lot of reasons why we'll probably see a little bit of a continuation here if Bitcoin continues to trend towards 97K, which I'm expecting to happen, partly because we have a take profit target there, and that level's been tested twice in the last 24 hours. But more importantly, it just makes sense for Bitcoin to continue to run up to destroy any of these late shorts here and to reset this liquidation delta, because market makers know there's too many people shorting. They're just going to keep buying into it. And then once everyone flips long, they're going to sell into that too. It's just a common thing right now. Ichimoku Cloud kind of giving us some confirming factors here. We do have 2.5, maybe 3 out of 3 reasons to consider a long position. So we are having this natural breakout that occurs when you want to consider a long. Now keep in mind, last time we saw this type of breakout, there was some pretty good, significant amount of returns, but it didn't come easy. It was choppy too, right? So I do think we have a propensity to continue further up. I just think that should be taken with a grain of salt. You should be very careful. If you're in profit right now in a long position, adjust your stop loss higher. Don't be one of those fools that thinks you're going to take this one trade to $4, $5, $6. It's just, we're not in the market right now for that. Okay, so the sooner you attach yourself to that mindset, the more successful you're going to be. And yeah, it sucks to have to chunk together a lot of little profitable trades, but that's really the only way to be profitable right now. If you're trying to run with most coins and just let them go, there's no such thing as that anymore. At least for the immediate foreseeable future. It is manipulation city, folks. All right, so I'll update our playout chart. I'll post that on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Be sure you check out Bitunix too, folks. To those who are using this exchange, obviously, if you use my link to register, you got some nice benefits there. Take advantage of that. Then, other than that, I look forward to working with you. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is the site. Link down below. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.